Look at you, Oren. You were born to be invisible. My mother's nails dug into my jaw. Hard enough to bruise. No husband. A dead-end job staring at screens. Make yourself useful for the first time in your miserable life, and take the fall. She gestured to my sister Hannah, who was sitting on the hospital bed without a scratch, smirking at her phone while my father blocked the door. I did not scream. I just looked at them. In that moment, the dutiful daughter died, and the digital forensics consultant woke up. I looked my mother in the eye and nodded once. I walked out of that hospital room and the silence followed me like a physical weight. My father, Thomas, did not thank me. He did not even look at me. He was too busy comforting Hannah, who was already asking if she could get a new car in white this time. I walked to the elevator, pressed the button, and watched the numbers count down. That was the moment the last thread of loyalty finally snapped. Here is the thing about growing up as the spare part in a machinery designed to worship someone else. You spend your whole life thinking if you just work harder, if you just give more, eventually you will earn your place. But you do not. I learned that the hard way when I was 22. I had saved exactly $15,432 working retail. It was my escape fund. It was the tuition for my final year of university. I kept it in a joint account my father had opened for me when I was 16. A detail I had been too naive to change. One morning, my card was declined at the campus bookstore. I called the bank, thinking it was a fraud alert. The teller told me the funds had been withdrawn by the cosigner. All of it. When I called Thomas, he did not apologize. He did not even sound guilty. He told me Hannah needed to go to a wellness facility in Malibu because she was exhausted. Exhausted from partying. He called it reallocating family resources. He told me I was strong enough to figure it out. He told me I could take a gap year. He told me family sacrifices for family. So I did figure it out. I dropped out for a year. I worked the night shift at a data center, monitoring server racks in a room kept at a freezing 60 degrees. I ate vending machine crackers for dinner and learned how to trace digital footprints while my friends were graduating. Meanwhile, Hannah flunked out of rehab after 2 weeks and spent the rest of my tuition money on a trip to Bali to find herself. That was the day I realized the truth about my parents. It was not that they did not love me. It was worse. To them, I was an insurance policy. There is a concept in psychology called conditional existence. It means the scapegoat is only allowed to consume resources, like air, food, or space, if they are willing to burn themselves to keep the golden child warm. I was not their daughter. I was their utility bill. You do not thank your electricity for keeping the lights on. You just pay it. And if it flickers, you kick it. They let me exist in their orbit only because they knew one day Hannah would crash something she could not fix, and they would need a body to throw under the wheels. Today was that day. I got into my car in the hospital parking garage. My hands were steady on the wheel. They thought they had won. They thought they had bullied me into submission just like they did when they took my college fund. They saw a broken daughter who was about to go to prison for them. But they did not see the woman who had spent the last 8 years auditing corporate fraud for Fortune 500 companies. They did not see the expert who knew that every lie leaves a digital scar. They thought I was driving to the police station to confess. Instead, I drove to their house. I was not going there to save them. I was going there to make sure that when the house of cards finally fell, I would not be the one underneath it. I sat in the high-backed leather chair in my father's study, the room he liked to call the war room. It smelled of aged mahogany and the expensive scotch he drank to convince himself he was a man of consequence. The front door slammed downstairs. I heard the click of Hannah's heels and the heavy thud of Thomas's footsteps. They were home. Thomas burst into the office, his face flushed a dangerous shade of red. Tracy was right behind him, looking at me with that familiar mix of disgust and disappointment. "What are you doing here?" Thomas demanded, throwing his keys onto the desk. "You were supposed to be at the precinct an hour ago, turning yourself in. Do you have any idea how much time we are losing?" "If I go to the precinct now," I said, my voice quiet and steady, "we all go to prison." The room went dead silent. Hannah stopped picking at her cuticles. Tracy froze. Thomas narrowed his eyes, stepping closer to me, trying to use his height to intimidate. It did not work. I was not looking at him as a father anymore. I was looking at him as a liability I needed to manage. "What are you talking about?" he hissed. "You think this is 1990, I said. "You think you can just tell the police a story, and they will write it down. But you are forgetting the car." I stood up and walked over to the window. Hannah drives a late-model luxury SUV. That car is a computer on wheels. It has a telematics system. It logs everything. Speed, braking force, the exact time of impact, and most importantly, the weight in the driver's seat. I turned back to face them. My sensors show I weigh 130 pounds. Hannah weighs 110. The car knows who was driving. Thomas. The data is already in the cloud. If I walk into that police station and say I was driving, the first thing they will do is pull the black box and the server logs. They will see the discrepancy instantly. I will be charged with perjury and obstruction of justice. Hannah will be charged with the DUI. And you? You will be charged with conspiracy. Tracy let out a small, terrified sound. Hannah looked at Thomas, her eyes wide. Daddy? Is that true? Thomas looked at me. For the first time in my life, he did not look at me with contempt. He looked at me with fear. He was a man who understood leverage, and he knew I just put a gun to his head. Can you fix it? He asked. His voice was hoarse. I can scrub it. I lied. I do this for corporations every day. I can access the cloud server and wipe the telematics log. I can overwrite the GPS data on Hannah's phone to place her at home during the crash. But I need access. Now. Do it. Tracy said immediately. Whatever it takes. I need your phones, I said, extending my hand. Both of them. And I need the passcodes. Thomas hesitated. The paranoia flared in his eyes. He clutched his phone to his chest. This was a man who lived a double life. A man with secrets he kept even from his wife. I am not giving you my passcode, he said slowly. I do not trust you. Then we have a problem, I said, checking my own watch. Because every minute that passes is another minute that data sits on a server, waiting to be subpoenaed. I will not give you the code, he repeated. I did not fight him. I did not beg. I pivoted. This was the moment where the tactical genius beat the bully. Fine, I said, opening my laptop bag. We do it your way. You do not have to unlock it. I have a bypass cable. I can run the scrub script externally while you watch the screen. You hold the phone. I just press enter. Does that work for you? He stared at me, weighing his options. He thought he was maintaining control. He thought he was being smart. He nodded. Fine. Set it up. He did not know that by connecting his phone to my system, he was not protecting his secrets. He was handing them to me on a silver platter. I sat at the heavy oak desk in my father's office, the room where he had grounded me for getting a B+ in math while Hannah was failing algebra. I opened my laptop and connected a high-speed data transfer cable. I gestured for his phone. Thomas handed it over with the reluctance of a man handing over a loaded weapon. He watched me like a hawk. He thought he was supervising me. He thought he was ensuring I did not snoop. He did not realize that in the world of digital forensics, physical access is the endgame. I plugged his phone into my system. On the screen, a window popped up. I had coded it myself years ago for a client who needed to test their employees' susceptibility to social engineering. It was a simple, soothing interface. A bright green progress bar appeared with the words, permanently deleting metadata, flashing in reassuring bold letters. Is it working? Thomas asked, leaning over my shoulder. Yes, I lied. It is scrubbing the GPS history and overwriting the timestamps on your call logs. It will look like you were home all night. The bar crept forward. 20%, 50%. Thomas let out a breath he had been holding for an hour. He saw the green bar and saw safety. I saw the second window running silently in the background. I was not deleting a single byte of data. I was mirroring it. The cable was not just a connection. It was a siphon. I was pulling everything. The text messages where he told Hannah to stop crying and get her story straight. The call logs to his lawyer before he called the police. The location data that placed him at the scene of the crash, rearranging the debris before the cops arrived. It all flowed into an encrypted folder on a remote server. The progress bar hit 100%. A cheerful chime sounded. Deletion complete. Done, I said, unplugging the phone. The digital footprint is gone. Even the FBI could not recover that. It was the specific kind of technical lie you tell a narcissist. You tell them they are invisible. And they believe you because they think they deserve to be. Thomas took the phone back and slid it into his pocket. He looked taller instantly. Good. Now. The money. This was the second part of the trap. The financial kill shot. You cannot just wire $85,000 to the victim's family, I said, keeping my voice low and urgent. That is the rookie mistake everyone makes. Any transfer over $10,000 automatically triggers a suspicious activity report at the bank. It goes straight to the Treasury Department. If you send a lump sum today, you might as well turn yourself in. Thomas paled. Then how do I pay them off? You have to structure it, I said. You need to withdraw the cash in chunks. $9,000 today. $9,000 tomorrow. Keep it under the reporting limit. Then, you deposit it into this blind trust account I set up. It looks like a consulting fee. It washes the money clean. He nodded, absorbing the logic. To him, it sounded like a savvy business move. He did not know that structuring intentionally breaking up deposits to evade reporting requirements is a federal crime. It does not matter if the money is legal. The act of hiding the transaction is a felony. And the blind trust? It was not a trust. It was an escrow account I had registered under a shell name, but the access logs were being forwarded directly to a secure Dropbox I shared with a contact at the district attorney's office. "I will go to the bank now," Thomas said. He looked at me, and for a fleeting second, I saw something that looked like respect. "You are actually good at this, Oren. I did not think you had the stomach for it. I learned from the best," I said. He left to get his checkbook, and I studied the family portrait behind his desk, Thomas, Tracy, and Hannah, in white linen. I had taken the photo. I was never in the frame. They thought exclusion made me weak. It only meant I saw everything, and I was about to burn the canvas. 2 days later, they summoned me to a closure dinner. The formal room glowed with velvet curtains and gold china. It wasn't celebratory. It was the smug calm of people who believed they had escaped consequences. Hannah complained about airbag dust while Tracy poured wine and planned a spa weekend. Mrs. Cochran lay in intensive care. Forgotten. In their minds, the crime was buried. The money moved. And tomorrow, I would confess for them. Thomas toasted with his prized scotch. "To family. And to Oren. You earned your seat," he said. "I'm proud." He thought I was sacrificing myself. My phone in my pocket carried an open line to Detective Morris. "Subject on site. Confession imminent. Execute warrant." I hadn't deleted the evidence. I mirrored it to the district attorney. The money Thomas shifted wasn't a settlement. It was structuring, laundering, and asset forfeiture bait. Tracy screamed. Hannah tried deleting messages. "Too late," I said. The cloud never forgets. The pounding came seconds later. Police flooded the house. Thomas was forced onto the table he worshipped. Hannah was cuffed mid-sip. Tracy collapsed in panic. Detective Morris nodded at my untouched glass. "You're free to go." I watched them dragged out, Thomas raging, Hannah begging, Tracy spitting hatred. "You were right," I told her. "I was invisible. That's how I destroyed you." By morning, every account was frozen. Thomas needed a public defender. Hannah took a prison plea. I drove 3 states away. Bought a small house. Changed everything. They can't find me now. And that is freedom.